Hey everybody, hello and welcome back to the cozy little Lorcana corner of the internet. It has been a bit of time since I've been here, but I wanted to jump on tonight because you probably have seen, if you are seeing this video, I put together a list of all the Into the Inklands release events that are happening in our area around DC, Maryland, Virginia, and that list goes as far north as a couple of things up in the New York area and Connecticut. Basically, I tried to find everything that I could find. I'm continuing to build that list, and that link is probably under this video, depending on where you're watching it, somewhere. So if you want to find a release event this weekend, check it out. I hope it's helpful. But as people were looking through this, I have started to get a lot of questions about what the different kinds of events actually mean. So I wanted to jump in and go through the 5 types of events that you are likely to see this weekend with the release of Into the Inklands. So first of all, big disclaimer, every store does things a little bit differently. Definitely check with the people who are running your local events. Ask them what their plan is, and they'll be able to, of course, give you the most correct information. But with that said, I can kind of give you some general guidelines so that you can try and figure out what events you want to hit this weekend, especially if this is the first time you're looking at something like a new set release. So the first type of event that we're going to jump into real quick is sealed. And generally that means that you're going to get probably 4 or 6 packs, and you'll build a deck out of those packs. If it's 4, it's probably going to be a 40 card deck. If it's 6, it might be a 40 or 60 card deck, depending on where you are. And as you build that deck, generally for sealed, you are not going to have a lot of restrictions on what you can put in that deck. What that means is usually when you build a Lorcana deck, of course, you're limited to 2 colors of ink, and you have to have at least 60 cards. If you're doing a sealed event, generally you are not restricted on what color cards you can include, and you're also not restricted on the number of cards you can include. So in a normal Lorcana deck, you would usually have a restriction that you can't have more than 4 copies of a card. If you're playing a sealed event and you happen to open, for example, 5 Pinocchios that are all the same Pinocchio, you can usually play all of them. And likewise, you are not limited on ink colors. You can play all of the colors out of whatever you open for the sealed event. So that is our sealed event. You get a set of packs, you open them, you build a deck, you play some Lorcana, you have a great time. The second type of event that you are likely to see this weekend is a draft. Draft is similar to sealed event, but very different. So in a sealed event, you're just going to get handed your stack of Lorcana packs. In a draft, instead of just opening your 4 or 6 packs, and usually for draft it will be 4 packs, instead of opening your packs, you will sit down in a circle with a bunch of other people who are playing, and everybody will have 4 packs set on the table in front of them. And the way this works is that at the same time, everybody picks up their first pack, opens their pack, and picks 1 card out of that pack to keep for themselves. Then you take the rest of those cards, the other 11 cards that you just opened, and you pass them around the table. So you're going to pass them probably to the person on your left. You're going to get the pack from the person on your right, and you look at your new set of cards that are now in your hand. You select 1 from that pack that you just got handed, and you continue passing the packs around the table until the first pack is gone. And at that point, you will have 12 cards, as if, same number of cards as if you had opened a pack yourself, but you've gotten to choose them and you've gotten to kind of try and make sure that they synergize a little bit better. After you've finished opening that first pack, everybody opens the second pack and generally passes it around the circle in the opposite direction. Most places you will finish up with opening those 4 packs. You now have 48 cards, and you will use those 48 cards to build a 40 card deck to go play your Lorcana games with. So really what that means is as you are playing a draft, when you get to the point where you're narrowing it down, you're basically just choosing the 8 cards that you are not going to play. And then you play, most places will run 3 rounds, and that will be your draft. It's a lot of fun. It's got some more deck building elements than normal, just straight sealed. And it's a very different play exercise. So highly recommend, if you've never done one before, find a fun place and check it out. So we've talked about 2 types of events. We've talked about sealed. We've talked about draft. The third type of event that you are likely to encounter this weekend with the Into the Inklands launch are starter deck events. Now, there are 2 types of starter deck events. There's an unmodified starter deck event, and there's a modified starter deck event. So for an unmodified deck, what that means is you are going to get your starter deck, and you're going to play that deck. End of story. Now, starter decks do come with 1 pack in the starter deck. So some places will let you put your cards that you open into your starter deck. Again, very much check the rules for the place you're playing. So if you're playing an unmodified starter deck, like I said, very simple. You open the deck, you play the deck. Everybody else is playing effectively the same decks. For a modified deck starter deck event, you will get some packs along with your starter deck. So you may get your starter deck plus 1 or 2 booster packs along with it. Or you may, they'll tell you what you're getting. So you open your starter deck, you open the booster packs that you've got, generally including the one that is in your starter deck, and you use those cards that you have just opened to modify your starter deck. So you can add things into your starter deck. You can take things out of your starter deck if you want. And again, this is a place where it's really important to check the rules of the tournament that you're actually playing. Most places will have you build to the normal 60 card or more rules. So you're not paring down below 60 cards because you already have a starter deck that should work. But you should check as far as what the restrictions are for ink colors and number of copies of cards in your deck. So be sure to check that if you're doing a starter deck event. And again, I love starter decks because they're a great way to get a good feel for the new mechanics of any set that comes out. They've done a really good job with them so far. So that's another fun way that you might try out Into the Inklands this weekend. So we have talked about 3. We've talked about sealed. We've talked about draft. We've talked about our starter deck events. The 4th event type that I'm going to talk about real quick is a booster blitz. The place that came up with this is Stevenson Games up in Maryland. And this is a pack battle type format. So I haven't actually gotten a chance to go try it out yet. But as it's been explained to me, you get 2 packs each round. They do multiple rounds. So you open your 2 packs, and without looking at them, you sleeve them, shuffle them together into a 24 card deck, and then play your round. At the end of the round, everybody gets, to start the next round. So you get 2 new packs for the next round, and they play several rounds that way. And, so that is the booster blitz. You open and blindly play a bunch of packs. Sounds like a good time. Hoping to get up there to try it out at some point. The last type of event, the 5th type of event that I'm going to talk about that you may run into this weekend is constructed tournaments. And just because we are at the release of a new set does not mean that they're not running tournaments that are very similar to what you would see any other weekend. So for a constructed tournament, what we're talking about is a tournament that follows the normal deck building rules for Lorcana. So you have to stick to ink colors. You have to have at least 60 cards. It is in every way a normal tournament. It's just that this weekend, Into the Inklands is legal. So there are a couple places that are running tournaments There's a couple 2Ks. I know kind of south of here. There are several places running constructed tournaments this weekend for Lorcana as soon as Into the Inklands is legal to be played. So if that is more your speed, look around. There are a couple places running those. So to just kind of wrap things up, we have talked about 5 types of events that you might run into this weekend for the Into the Inklands release. There's sealed events where you just get packs, open them, and build your deck. There are drafts where you open packs, pass them around a table, and select what would work best for you. There are starter deck events, both unmodified starter decks where you just play the starter deck as it is packed, and modified starter deck events where you get a starter deck and a couple packs and you get to use those packs to improve your deck. There is the booster Blitz where you open 2 packs, shuffle them together, and play a quick game. And then there are constructed tournaments, just like we have pretty much every weekend at this point, where you are playing a standard Lorcana deck. It's just that Into the Inklands is now going to be legal this weekend as soon as you can get your hands on it. So if you were looking for an event to hit this weekend, I hope that this has helped to give you some insight as far as what you might like to play. And again, there is a master list likely under this video somewhere of all of the events in our area that I could find. If you find anything new, please drop me a comment so I can continue to update that list. And if this was useful to you, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I am trying to do more of these videos going forward, and your support helps me to get things out there to people who will see them, and also to continue to do the fun things that I want to do with this hobby. So thank you for checking this out. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys all have a great time playing with Into the Inklands. I am very excited about it, and I look forward to seeing you guys around. All right, thank you everyone. Thank you for stopping by the cozy little Lorcana corner of the internet, and I hope you have fun with your games this weekend. See ya.